Good evening. I'd like to call the November 4th meeting of the Merrimack Valley School Board to order. What? Roll call, please.
Bear with me, we're having technical difficulty here.
Okay.
All right, Tracy Bricky,
Yes, here.
Peggy Jones Blanchard. Here. Sally Hurst Dickinson. Here. Eric Hansen. Here. Owen Harrington.
Well, who's,
He resigned.
Julia Jones.
She's here. She's just not here.
Lauren Martin.
Here.
Melissa Muzzy.
Here.
Jessica Wheeler Russell.
Here.
Laura Vincent. Here. Daniel York.
Here.
Thank you.
Have a new person put yourself on
okay, so Pledge of Allegiance. Nick? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the minutes from the October 7th public hearing and the school board meetings. So if we could look at both. I do have number 2 on the Merrimack Valley School Board meeting, the minutes. I do not believe that I abstained from that. There were 2 people who were absent the month before.
It was Julie and myself, I believe.
Who was absent in September?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Sally?
Let's see. So in, excuse me, item 6, in the second to last line, adopt a calf should be hyphenated. In item 7A, let's see. Right after 16th, that comma can be omitted.
Oh, okay.
Item, let's see, what did I mark that for? Oh, item 8A, the second element, motion by Peggy Jones Blanchard. There should be a hyphen between Jones and Blanchard. 8C, the third item down, Fred Regan gave an overview of the CIP at a district-wide level. District-wide should be hyphenated. A little further down, 4 items from the bottom, another hyphen between Jones and Blanchard, and then omit the comma after Blanchard. And and then in item 14, I don't remember which I did, but I don't think I issued both the motion and the second. So I don't know if anyone else can remember who did what. I did something.
You did.
But I didn't do both of them.
Jess?
I know I did not, I actually specifically did not do this one because I was letting somebody else talk.
Okay.
I remember that.
I might have seconded.
Julia?
Yeah, I think I was second, so.
Okay, Julia.
No, I do believe you seconded it, 'cause I feel like it was on this side of the table.
And one last one, I recommend hyphens within breach of contract.
Where's that one?
I'm sorry, that's in the same item, number 14.
Oh,
That's all I've got.
Anyone else have any questions or comments or corrections? Okay then. All those in favor of the minutes as corrected? Sorry, I had a moment there. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okey dokey. Next is public comment. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Okay then. Finance report.
Sure. In your packet, you'll find the November 2024 financial report. You'll see we're still carrying the 2,900 function overages down at the bottom. Those are the salary and benefits that will clear out once we make the 2,900 transfers. At the top, the overages are mostly in special ed. No major changes actually over the past month too much. I think one of the 2149 increased a bit, and that is the line where we are holding the encumbrance for the contracted paraprofessionals.
Anybody have any questions for Hillary?
So that's the one with the negative 311, or is that the negative 747?
The negative 311,
2149.
2149 is the third one down.
Right, I've got the budget balance and then
I'm not sure where you are.
Anyway, sorry, 'cause
Oh,
I
negative
I
311%.
specifically asked
You're in
about
the
this.
line
over
item.
Oh,
the
yes,
weekend.
yes, you're in the line item,
Yeah, I'm in
yes.
the line
So that would be, yes, that would be the percentage.
that was the two I had circled.
Yes,
And what was that again?
that was the contracted paraprofessionals. You threw me off with the percentages.
Sorry,
That's okay.
what caught my eye glaringly.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Hillary? Okay then. All those in favor of the financial report as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Oh, sorry.
All right, good news is in your digital packet. And as always, we have a number of pages to flip through and cool things that are happening from around the district. In addition to the good news there, we have our system of care and director of counseling, the famous or infamous Becky Kennedy. It depends what circle you travel in. Do you need a presentation or are you just going to grab a mic and go? Okay.
Sorry, I don't have any visuals for folks today, but stay tuned. Later in the year, I'll have plenty of data to review. I have just some updates on summer PD I'd like to share. Summer's was a very busy time. It was the end of the System of Care grant. So I'm happy to share some numbers with folks. We held responsive classroom district training. We had 22 elementary teachers and admin trained, 20 in the core program, 2 in advanced. Challenge course training, we have 12 new facilitators in the district, bringing us to 32 active facilitators for adventure-based practices, not necessarily on the challenge course, but can bring their students on the challenge course. A third of our district counselors are trained, which is pretty exciting in terms of working with students in small group, bringing students outside or even inside doing activity-based counseling or skill building. We had our first cohort of DBTA skills, so dialectical behavior therapy A. So really looking at skill building and using skills with school counselors, but also we had 2 administrators trained. We are working with Concord School District to build a cohort. So it's not, yes, we had this great, fantastic 2-day training or 3-day training, and then it sits in a file drawer. The cohort will meet monthly with coaching from DBT teens throughout the school year. And there's actually a second cohort starting tomorrow, and we have 1 counselor starting that cohort. So we're excited about that work. On the counseling side, using evidence-based practice at the middle school and high school level. We worked with Suffolk University for restorative practices and circle training this summer with admin and staff. We had 13 folks that went through the 3-day training with Suffolk. In addition, we have follow-up coaching hours. So again, that work continues throughout the school year to really look at our practices and how we can support folks in implementation. So it's not a one and done. And then we had 6 elementary admin and staff trained in traverse wall training. We were able to fund through grant funding an indoor traverse wall at Pennacook Elementary School to support students with tier 2 and 3 needs, but also all students have access to that. So it was a really busy summer, 6 different multi-day trainings. So, but it was great turnout by staff. In updates in our tiered system of support work, we have 3 overarching goals that our district community leadership team has identified. The first goal at the district level is district alignment and prioritization. I practice that word. The second goal is behavioral health integration. So how are we working with our community mental health center and how can we improve those practices? And the third is school level tiered team development. So what are we doing for all students at the tier 1 level in terms of behavioral health and wellness? Just some updates on those. We talked about the responsive classroom numbers. That's our K to 5 focus. 6 to 12 are restorative practices. And then we are also at a tier 1 level piloting with DCYF. There's a new school liaison position and focusing on our truancy process. We're streamlining that process instead of calling into DCYF, which can be taxing on the system. If we have multiple students that we're reporting, we're piloting just a new reporting system. So we're excited about that, and hopefully that can speed up the process of if we have a challenging situation with students and families for reporting. On our behavioral health integration goal, we started our community mental health center, that's Riverbend, our collaborative today with elementary folks. We'll start on the 25th with high school. That collaborative is made up of administrators, special ed case managers. Julie and I are invited to that, and also clinicians from Riverbend. So if we have parent permission, we can discuss and collaborate to support goals both ways. How can our community mental health center folks support students, and how can we support their work in school? We'll meet bi-monthly just because they are down some clinicians. We were meeting monthly, so we'll meet every 2 months now. We'll continue to fine-tune the referral process. The assistant director of the child program will meet with our elementary, middle, and high school counselors to go over that process this month. I'm happy to report that we will continue to have our 3 co-located service clinicians in our schools this year. We actually have some openings for students, so that's exciting. And probably one of the best pieces of news I'm happy to share is the wait list, which we know has been 3 and 4 months, is down to about 4 weeks now from when we refer a student to intake. I would project that will probably grow over the winter months, as the seasons, but really happy that 4 weeks is manageable so we can bridge those services with school counselors and community mental health. And our tiered teams have been busy in our schools, lots of summer training. We've been doing some professional development on our Thursday PLC time, looking at trauma-informed practices, breaking it up again so it's not a one and done over the course of the year and following up in small doses. We are one of a few districts that have multiple schools, have had all of our schools go to framework training at the Office of Social Emotional Wellness for MTSSB implementation, which is very wordy. But district alignment, very happy to report we had our final school attend training last week, so that's exciting. The last piece of info I'll share with you is on the counseling side, just some updates. First semester SOS, signs of suicide, was implemented in our 9th grade mental health unit, which is about 6 weeks long. It covers mental health, prevention, behavioral health, substance use prevention. And just to give you some numbers and context, about 17% of students is what first semester looked like in terms of follow-up at a tier 3 level, meaning students that either identified as having some behaviors that they're concerned about or wanted to talk to a counselor because they were concerned about a friend. SOS is an evidence-based practice. National average is around 12%. We know that grew after COVID, but we're at 17%, which is, I think we're at 16.8% last year. So we did have a 93% participation rate, which is about a 19% increase from last year. Students don't have to participate, but we're really excited about that. Our counselors worked hard, and health teachers on updating the curriculum, making it more interactive. So that was great. Happy with that. The other 7% were either students who opted out or were absent. Getting to why, which Nick is part of, we had our first meeting, also an evidence-based approach. last week. Stay tuned. We'll ask to, surprise, present maybe to the curriculum committee again. And this year, we're hoping to pull off our community listening event. We started mid-year last year, so we couldn't pull that off. And we have some new data to jump into because we used the 21 data, but we just got the 2023 data over the summer. So the kids will have their first data retreat in a few weeks to spend the day looking at data and coming up with an idea that a project they want to work on in terms of the response to what they find in the data. I'll put a plug in for Thursday. We have Dr. Nick Mayan coming. I brought handouts too if folks want to grab one. It's an evening titled Effective Strategies for Coping and Working Through Anxiety. So how is anxiety impacting your child's learning? So this is for parents or caregivers. This was a partnership through Capital Area Public Health, Concord Family Centers, Concord School District, Merrimack Valley School District, and Granite United Way. We're hosting the event, but our partners are funding our presenter. We're providing pizza and childcare for that event, so we're hoping for a great turnout. Last I knew, we had 60 folks signed up and around 20 students for childcare. We'll see. And we have high school students helping adults with activities. And the final piece going forward, our focus in the next few months is updating our suicide prevention plan. In conjunction with Capital Regional Prevention Planning, I attend those meetings, really looking at what barriers our families might have and looking at mobile crisis, how we incorporate that more into our activities. And then it's the holiday season and counselors are going to be super busy with helping families connect with resources, whether it's food baskets, gift giving, or even financial resources, fuel assistance, electricity assistance, those types of things as we go into the winter months. So that was a lot. Any questions? Thursday, sorry. This Thursday, 5:30 to 7. It will be in the auditorium. Childcare will be here in the library. Pizza will be, I think we're going to be in the lobby doing a little standing and eating. You're all invited, and it's for anybody in the local area, so not just Merrimack Valley and Concord School District. So if you have folks interested, feel free to send them our way.
Can I get a flyer?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for? No? Thank you. Thank you very much, Becky. Okay. Next would be, don't want to forget, student rep.
Alrighty, so I have a few things to talk about. First off, the high school held a mock election on October 30th in conjunction with New Hampshire PBS student. It was held by New Hampshire PBS. It was a student mock election. All students were asked to vote for president, governor, and Congress. This was a really great experience. They made you bring in like an ID, whether it was like a school ID or a driver's license. So great time there. Also on the same day, October 30th, we had Dunkin' come in with samples of lemonade for students during lunch. Along with that, all students and staff received a free $5 gift card. I know, right? All the students were very psyched about that. During the month of October, Bosquen Elementary School observed Fire Safety Month through participation in several educational activities. These wonderful learning opportunities were facilitated by members of our Bosquen Fire Department. Very exciting here. The Valley football team beat our rival Pembroke in the annual Chloe O'Brien Bowl. The final score was 55-22. I know, right? Very good. And this win puts our football team into the playoffs for the first time in 9 years. So they will play this upcoming Saturday at Plymouth. This Wednesday, the sports management class will be hosting the 3rd annual Gravy Bowl. This is a girls' flag football tournament. It will begin at 3 p.m. on the game field. Everyone is welcome to attend. It's a great event and a great time. A lot of students like to go and watch this event. Very well attended. Because it's like around Thanksgiving. So that's why we call it the Gravy Bowl. And then, very exciting news here. The theater department will be hosting their fall play, Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind. This is 30 plays in 60 minutes. So quite overstimulating, but if you like that, you should go. And it's very interactive with the crowd. So there's 30 plays, and the crowd can yell out a number, and whatever number the actors hear first is the play they will do. So they do not know in what order they will be doing these plays. So very, very cool. The show dates are Thursday, November 21st, and Friday, November 22nd. Both of those dates are at 7 o'clock. And then Sunday, November 24th at 2. So Thursday, November 21st, and Friday, November 22nd at 7, and Sunday, November 24th at 2. I am not in the fall play, but I will be in the spring musical. And I have some jokes that are football related. What is a football player's favorite ice cream? Any given Sunday. And where do football players go when they need a new uniform? New Jersey. That's all I got.
Thank you, Nick. Anybody have any questions for Nick? Well, I do. Who won the mock election?
I believe it was Kelley for governor. It was Goodlander, and then it was Donald Trump.
Oh,
I know.
Is there an admission fee for the play?
Yes, and I will, once I get the link for the website, I can send it over to Dr. Worm, who can then send it to all of you.
Thanks very much. Next would be our committee reports. The first one is Policy Committee. They met prior to the October board meeting. The minutes are in the packet for board review. And policies ACAA, ACAB, and JIE are in the packet for a first read.
We also met tonight before the board.
Oh. They also met tonight before the board meeting.
So you might recall last month we had policy IHBH in the packet for a first read. Unfortunately, it did not make it into the packet for a second read today. So in our December meeting, you will have four policies for a second read. But tonight is just a first read on the harassment of students policy, the harassment of employees, and the pregnant students policies. And tonight we did tackle looking at some other policies for the Title IX information. They're thick and hefty, so we won't have those for you for December, but maybe. We have another meeting scheduled for the 18th of this month, so we can tackle them a little bit more.
Okey doke. Any questions? For the policy committee? Okey doke. The finance committee met last week, 10/28. The minutes are in the packet. And I have notes, but Hillary's going to report. Okay, Hillary's going to report.
So we just had our initial, get started meeting where we kind of go over the known items that, we see every year. And then, so I can just kind of recap those for you. They're going to sound overwhelming, like they usually do. The maximum rate percentage received from Health Trust this year was actually higher than what we saw last year, which we were hoping it wasn't going to be higher, but it being a high number isn't unexpected. It's 22.2%. Last year, we saw 21.8%.
Is that on?
Oh, it's not, it's green.
Is it? Okay, sorry.
Nope, it's okay. So we know, just looking at the budget, that's approximately a $1.5 million increase over last year. Again, I think if it bears repeating, those rates are based on usage. We used to see lower rates back during COVID because nobody was utilizing doctors as much as they were now that we're back. They're using them more. Health Trust isn't allowed to keep a surplus of funds. They're required to return them to the employees. So when they see an increase that exceeds what they're paying out, they have no way to recoup the cost except to pass them down to the members. Kathleen has requested a proposal again this year from School Care, as we did last year. Property and liability insurance sees it, there's a 7% increase since last year. That was the same increase we saw last year. That's an increase of $15,581. Workers' comp saw a bigger increase this year of 12%. We saw a little bit of a decrease last year, but our workers' comp claims have increased, so we see that increase come through in the rate. That's $19,471. We do see a small decrease to the New Hampshire retirement system rate. The employee rate is decreasing from 13.53% to 12.75%, and the teacher professional staff rate is decreasing. Oh, I didn't update my notes here, but there's a slight decrease there as well. So we have, yes.
19.4 to
Okay,
19.4.
thank you. I did not update. I had it in front of me at the meeting, but I got to delete it here.
Sorry,
Sorry.
19.64 down to 19.23. So the total, in the retirement system, the total decrease would be $94,487.
MV Support Staff Association negotiations have wrapped up, which you're aware of. Those will be a separate warrant article once ratified by the board, but we do know we have 2 pre-approved CBAs that we will have to put into the operating budget this year. We have year 2 of the administrator's contract. That's $40,377. And we have year 3 of the Education Association contract, which is $420,121. We had conversations over at special ed costs. While we don't have numbers at that point, we just had a brief discussion that we know the 2 main cost drivers there are usually out of district tuition and transportation. We expect to probably see an increase in CRTC because our kids love going, so our enrollment increases. I've reached out to Concord School District for budgeting numbers, but I have not heard back. We probably expect to see an increase for the 2 SROs. I reached out to Concord Police and actually followed up with them again today to get information for budget numbers from them. We did look briefly at estimated revenues. Adequacy was up $239,328. And that's about where we left off, I believe. We're going to situation room this week, have some draft budget stuff to send out, hopefully before the holiday weekend.
The only thing I wanted to say is that we did talk about, in terms of revenue, remember last year we went to the state about increasing the Learning Center, and we are able to take another 9 students at the Learning Center. And that's a $70,000 a year tuition at the Learning Center. So another 9 students would be helpful. And we already have, in my notes, I forgot to put down how many we have right now.
We were currently have 3.
We have 3.
This is other districts sending kids to us.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Including Andover. So Andover would pay that same rate
If they go to Learning.
if they go to the Learning Center. Yeah.
That was one other thing we did discuss. While the final tuition rate for Andover isn't set, we do know that Andover enrollment to the high school is down.
Thank you. Any questions for Hillary? Okay, the next is the Curriculum Committee. They also met right after us, right after the Finance Committee. And the minutes are in your board packet, actually next to the last page. And Catherine will report.
Yeah, sure.
I lied, Sally will report.
It's my first meeting convening it as chair. And apparently I was so excited that I convened it 2 minutes early. So the meeting started at 5:58 instead of 6. We began by reviewing the curriculum process. Catherine thoughtfully put that on the agenda so that, the committee as it stands now has a better understanding of what it is that we do. And so that kicked off our meeting. Much of the meeting was taken up by Melissa Lear, who is the reading specialist for the district. And she led us through a discussion, a presentation about the literacy initiatives that have been implemented at each level of the district. And this is, I believe, in response to some of the questions that were raised over the last year with regard to the science of reading and where some of what I think, that's kind of a royal we have learned about what's needed. So there are a couple of new initiatives. So grades K through 5 are using a resource called Benchmark Advance, and middle and high school are piloting 2 different initiatives, MemBean, which is a digital vocabulary building tool, and then Think SRSD is a writing framework. And one of the things that was very interesting about Melissa's presentation was the fact that across all grades, the teaching of writing was being integrated with other disciplines. So it's no longer the case that composition is its own thing. It's being integrated with science and social studies, and literature, and the ways in which it's being taught apparently have been very well received by students and teachers alike. So it seems to be quite promising. It looks like in November we're going to be taking a closer look at math across the district, and that meeting is scheduled for the 18th at 5:30. So join us if you'd like.
I just have a question. I was at the meeting, but I didn't. The middle school and high school programs, the member being and the Think SRSD, are they related to benchmark at all? Or do they follow along with it?
So Benchmark is a comprehensive literacy resource that encompasses phonics, reading, writing. MemBean is specifically just a vocabulary building tool. And then Think SRSD is specifically geared towards the writing and the format through which we approach writing.
So they're completely different?
No, they are different resources, reinforcing skills that they're developing at the elementary school, and then they're refining and growing in middle and high school.
Do they fit in real well with the kids coming up with benchmark?
So it's our first year for all of these initiatives. I'm cautiously optimistic that they will align. I also am really confident in our teachers, and that when things aren't a perfect fit, they're professionals and they will make resources work together. They'll integrate them well.
Will there be another presenter kind of going through the math thing like Ms. Lear did?
Yeah, the plan is for a math specialist to be joining us on that evening.
Can I ask, how long was your last incentives from K to 5 when it comes to reading? How long ago?
Okay, so let me do a little math here. I think as a district, we adopted our last elementary reading initiative 10 years ago. It had piloted in one elementary school prior to the full district adoption.
So it's been 10 years since it changed.
It has, and certainly.
And you have data to show the improvement or flatlining of all of the kids' progress in that, using that initiative.
Certainly, we have data points from all of that. There has been pretty significant shift in approaches to literacy in the last 3 years, I would say. Reading wars have always been a thing, but the science of reading is a prominent topic right now. Evidence-based strategies are critical. In fact, there's legislation that actually requires us
I was trained in that. for
to
about
utilize
11
it.
years.
Yeah.
It's reading specialist. I was just wondering what kind of was the force to look at different initiatives, because every time you take on different initiatives, then you've got to train the teachers and you've got to get new materials. So I wondered what the
Certainly.
force behind just saying, hey, let's revamp the, reading and writing program in the elementary schools.
It's the science of reading and the movement to shift literacy to really evidence-based practices. It's a significant shift, this resource as compared to our last.
Anyone else? Okay. Excuse me. On to old business resolutions. Melissa, how was the delegate assembly?
I actually think it was really a good session. We moved through things really well. There was great discussion. Even some of the resolutions that were, oops. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I get all excited and I forget about the microphone. The delegation assembly was really good. We had great dialogue, good discussions. Some of the resolutions we were able to combine or sidestep because they were exactly the same. We had some good discussion about the continuing resolutions because there was some proposals about discontinuing some of those. But at this time, they've all moved forward to stay as continuing resolutions. The conversations were good. There was also a presentation by, help me out, Jessica. What's the?
Oh my God, it was Joffrey.
Yes, Joffrey
And-
Ringe.
Yeah, thank you.
And they talked about a little bit about their restructuring and how they are working together in terms of getting more community input, being more open, being more transparent. So a lot of the things sounded similar to what we've been working on in terms of trying to make sure that we have community involvement and are trying to articulate and share the information that we're getting. So it was kind of nice to see somebody recognize that is doing work similar to what we're doing. There is a complete list of the proposals that were approved and the ones that did not move forward, which I can either email out rather than read all of them because there were quite a few, but the work was really good. Jessica was great to have there. We had some good discussions as we were trying to, wade through some of the stuff that came up. And we actually agreed that next year she could be the key person if the team votes that way. And I'll be the alternate so we can practice letting other people have that role. So. But yeah, it was a good time. We actually got out relatively early too.
Yeah. It's the fastest one.
Any questions for Melissa or for Jessica? New business, Kathleen.
In your packet is the list of retirees that were submitted. November 1st was the deadline for people to submit for their retirement as of the end of this school year. So we had 7 teachers submit that they're going to retire. Not all teachers. We have a nurse, a speech language specialist, a school counselor, and the rest are teachers. So none of these were unexpected. I had discussions with most of these people earlier on, either end of last year or early this year, about retiring. We will start looking for people after annual meeting.
Thank you.
All right, one would think that filling a vacant seat on the school board is as simple as throwing it out there. We actually had to have someone reach out to the Secretary of State to work this particular thing out because of the cooperative school district. We had legal weigh in because there was some question about how the voting actually occurs. If it's just a town, then it's a very simple process, but with the cooperative. We wanted to make sure that we were approaching things right way. And when you read through this, you go, yeah, well, why wouldn't you do it that way? But there was, there were, a few things happening. So really, this is just going to be, this is for the open seat in Bosquen. And really, when you boil the whole thing down, it's for the January and February meetings. But this outlines sort of the process, and we'll make sure that we get this out on the website, and we'll send it to the town of Bosquen and have some folks put things up on the Bosquen Facebook page and a few other places. But essentially, it'll be a letter of interest to Katie by noon on Friday of November 22nd. It'll give us some time to put, if we have,
We have
dozens
17.
of applicants, which has happened in the past. We've had significant numbers. But if we do, then we'll put those into a shared Google folder and share those with you. And then, so what I, encourage you to think about is a question you'd like to ask. Assume that we have half a dozen people that would like to, give this a test run for those couple of weeks and come up with a question that you may like to ask. And it may not be that we're all asking our questions. Nick, this includes you. So please, think about a question that you might like to ask a prospective board member as we go through that. And then we'll have that set up for the December board meeting. And then after that decision is made, we'd have them sworn in, and then they'd be able to start at the January meeting. All right. Any questions?
One quick one.
Sure.
Was Owen's term coming up anyways?
It was.
Okay. That was.
Yep. If, let's say he had 2 years left on it, it would have been just to fill out that 2-year term. But because it was ending in March, he really just cut off the last few months.
Next is, any other questions for Randy on the hiring of, not hiring, but nominating, or the filling of the vacant seat? The filling. So MVSA contract.
To open discussion, I'll make a motion that we accept the ratified contract of the contract that was ratified by the union.
Second.
Okay. Any questions for Jess or anybody on the committee? Any questions about it? About the contract? So, all right then, let's vote. All those in favor of the new MVSSA contract for 2025, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, doke. Perfect. Next is that's good news. That's good news for us. Hopefully.
Oh, yeah, I have to abstain. Thank you. I said that 100 times.
You did. You did.
Completely
Totally
dropped the
forgot.
ball.
Yep.
Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kristen. Thanks. Manifest and journal entries. So they were available online. I looked at them and Jessica looked at them, and we yes, that's exactly what we did. We breathing.
I'll make a motion that we
Thank
accept
you.
the manifest and journal entries.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. All those in favor of the manifest and, oh, wait, any questions?
I might have been reading the wrong ones, but is Celia's name still listed?
I was gonna actually bring that up, because even though I'm signing it, Celie's name is on the
That's
board.
probably something we have to update.
I was gonna bring that up, but I don't.
Whose name is supposed to be on there?
Melissa
Mine
and mine.
Yeah, but I did see that as well, that
My
Celie's was on this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's weird.
It's a school year.
It's a, yeah.
Yeah. it was interesting because I signed it because it had my name where I'm supposed to sign, and then I'm like, the form had Celia's name on it, so I was gonna ask about that.
I actually read it.
So thank you.
Nice job, Julia Jones. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the manifest and journal entries, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, doke. Assistant Superintendent, oh, look at that. He left off my report. What were you worried about?
You know what I'm worried about.
I have nothing to report, except there's only 7 more days. But
Okay, so a couple of topics to share with you. Our math specialist, Jess Jocks, who will be joining us for curriculum committee, has recently been invited and presented at several recent conferences. She presented tiered math instruction at the middle level at the Unconference, which was sponsored by the Superintendent's Association. And then more recently, she presented at the Association of Teachers of Math in New England. Their regional conference was held in Nashua. And her presentation was entitled Mathematics in Action, Turning Thinking Tasks into Practical Solutions. It's been a topic that she has done a tremendous amount of work in our district around, specifically at the elementary level. Jess is just really, she's a phenomenal asset to our schools. And I think it's great that she's being recognized as a leader in her content around the state. So I certainly want to celebrate that. I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here. We have begun our first round of check-in visits with administrators as part of their goal setting and progress. Is this on your list? Okay. So I just wanted to share a highlight from MVHS that I thought was really exciting. Last year, they did a tremendous amount of focus around the culture and climate for the faculty in this building. And this year, an area of focus is positive behavioral expectations for students and celebrating the positive contributions that students make to the learning community. So to date, the faculty has mailed home approximately 150 good news postcards to students and families. And this effort has been met with really overwhelmingly positive feedback to the faculty. So an exciting thing that they're working on. Last week, the middle school band joined or marched over with their instruments to Pennacook Elementary School and led their Halloween parade around the school. It was really fantastic. It was great to see the two schools together. The band is enormous, fantastically talented. It was really exciting to see that. And the elementary students loved being able to see the older students there. And you can imagine that I'm sure it inspired some future musicians amongst them. Nick spoke about the mock election held here at the high school. Mock elections are being held around the district. Last week, I think on the same day the high school had theirs, the middle school had theirs as well, similar results. And I know they're happening at our elementary schools as well. So some civic engagement happening at all levels. And that is what I have for you. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody? Questions for Catherine? Comments?
I just want to say, I also loved seeing the band. It was great. All the kids got to march to Ghostbusters, which is awesome.
Cool.
So shout out to our band director because she's doing a great job.
Randy?
I can't believe Catherine stole everything that I was going to say, so I'll come up with a few more things. Earlier, sorry. So earlier this year, Catherine and I began working on the new directions for financial well-being in Merrimack Valley, which I, gave to you. And I don't know if any of you watched the video, but that was actually my digital avatar. That wasn't me making that. So that's AI, but basically going through that document. Just if you didn't want to sit there and read that document, you could watch Digital Randy give you that address. We had talked about the idea earlier in the year and some things that we wanted to do, and we were able to get some free legal advice while we're at the Kidder Law Conference, and it really confirmed our ideas and actually got us to expand on it, which is why it was shortly after the Kidder Law Conference that we sent that out to you. Kidder Law Conference is always a great time to ask questions, hear what other districts are going through, and some of the topics that are right there bubbling at the surface. around the state. So it's a really good conference, always one of the year's best. When Nick skips class, I'm sorry to out him like that, but when he skips class, he comes to my office. And I had the opportunity to sit in with Nick when some folks from the National School Board Member Association did a Zoom call with us. And they're really hopeful that Nick is going to be able to work with them to start up a New Hampshire chapter of the National Student Board Member Association, because we currently don't have one. So,
It's awesome. It really is.
yeah. So he was. No, I think, when he came over, I was there with him. We were just on the call together, but really it was about them talking to him about what their organization does, the supports, and how they can support him around the state to get some other folks. And I think he's definitely, a different sort of character, as you know, because he's been here with us for 3 years. He'll be here for 4 years. That's very rare. Most folks have a one-year term. So I think he's the perfect person with a year left or a year and a half left to really get that chapter going in the state. So I'm really excited that they, we had a connection at the NHSAA who, put, as soon as they said something to him, immediately threw Nick's name out to me, and then we got things going. So that's a great thing. I've continued working with the Superintendent Advisory Board for Southern New Hampshire University. That is to help guide coursework and to try to crosswalk the competencies for the pro-admin standards as well as other administrative standards to get folks to get certifications as principal and superintendent. So working with that committee there's about a dozen or so superintendents from around the state who are part of this advisory board to help Southern New Hampshire work and, again, crosswalk things with the Department of Ed to make sure that we can get some sort of process in place to get folks to be the next leaders of districts and schools. If you've gone to Chiefs or Constantly Pizza recently and grabbed a pizza, you will notice that as part of our on-the-box thinking, we've put some ads out for paraprofessionals. Sorry to do a Nick type joke, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. For paraprofessionals and bus drivers. So both, shout out to Chiefs and to Constantly for doing that for us. We bring them down the ads, they tape them to the boxes as they're going out. And we're hoping, it's going to be worth that paper if we even get one person through the door. And we've had a lot of people comment. I've gotten text messages and emails. Unfortunately, these are people that already have jobs, but hopefully there'll be some other folks as well as part of our on the box thinking. So that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody questions, comments? I think that's a great idea. I like the on the box thinking. Anybody have any ideas of topics that they would like discussed at our next board meeting? Jess?
I'm not sure if this so much has to be a topic for the next board meeting, but I would like to discuss, with the agreement being voted on at annual meeting, if we could get a summary on the website so folks have a place to go and kind of look at summary points, whatever legal is allowed, we're allowed to put up there, just so there's a way for our townsfolk to go through and kind of understand the agreement. I know last year we expressed they were expressing a desire for that. And I think that might be a good idea. So if we could either put it as a topic or, just do it. Never works.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I think we tabled the meal price increase. Is that something we'll be talking about?
That would come up as a, that would come up as a new business item, wouldn't it? Okay, yes. Anyone else? Okay, then. We do have reason to go into non-public session under RSA 91 dash. Oh. Yeah, whatever. Public comment. Sorry. Sorry, public. Anybody have anything they'd like to comment? Okay, so now we do have reason to go into non-public session under RSA 91 dash A colon 3 IIC.
There'll be no action.
There will be no action, so y'all can go. Yes.
Peggy Jones-Blanchard.
Yes.
Valerie Dickinson.
Yes.
Eric Hansen.
Yes.
Billy Jones. Lauren Martin. Melissa Muzzy.
Yes.
Jessica Lee Russell.
Yes.
Laura Vincent.
Yes.
Randy Moore.
Yes, President, yes, whatever.
Nope, I lied, folks. We will have action for some nominations. Okay? Yeah, still collect. Thank you. Can I have a motion?